Hey everyone, Laurel here, Minnesota Zone 5A. Just going to film an updated container tour. First thing you may notice is we have traps out still. We got a set of appointments for spaying and neutering the feral cats, and so last night we trapped 4 adults and 5 kittens. The kittens got taken yesterday by the rescue organization. They're also going to be evaluated to see if any of them could be socialized and adopted. And all the cats, regardless, will be spayed or neutered. And the ones that can't be adopted, like the adults that are feral, will be returned here and released. And we'll continue feeding them and sheltering. So that is the news. They're in the garage right now. And I think starting tomorrow is when their appointments are. So we have one kitten inside the house that was very friendly, even outside. And so we are working with him, and he should be able to be adopted. So we're just fostering him temporarily. So good news. So on with the container tour here, and I have to water tonight. Hopefully nothing looks too wilty. I did water yesterday, but I've been at work all day. It was nice and cool this weekend, felt more like October, and now it feels more like September again, but very comfortable, breezy 70s. So this area turned out to be my favorite this year. This is, I call it, I guess, black and white or light and dark. I focused on all white blooms and then played with foliage color, so light and dark foliage color here, and I think it turned out pretty darn good. This is the area that sort of masks the air conditioner as best I can. So this is actually my favorite plant of the year. New to me this year. It is a Dusty Miller called Mercury. And this is just one plant here. Dusty Miller, like all other varieties I've ever grown, the leaves kind of age. God, that plane is loud. That's shrill. Wait a second till that. This better not be another plane night. Drives me crazy. We get tons of planes. Anyway, so Dusty Miller are super drought tolerant. They can take tons of heat, tons of sun. They're also very cold tolerant. Like I overwinter them on the porch. Sometimes I had one that I had for a number of years that stayed out on our unheated porch here in Minnesota in Zone 5. So yeah, I'm not sure whether I will try to overwinter this one, dig it up and pot it. It all depends on how the fall goes, how quickly we get frost and freeze, how much time I have, how much energy I have. We shall see. Behind it, we have a bronze leaf white begonia. That's just one plant. Those get very large. The bronze leaf begonias are the most sun tolerant. This one's in full sun all day. The other plant that was a favorite, I had a white scaevola down here. Not the Proven Winners one, it was a different variety. And it just wilted and died. We had a really wet year, and so I had a lot of issue with wilt and mildew this year on various things. So that one died. So I pulled it out and just picked up this clearance bacopa, which was about the biggest trailing thing I could find for the moment. So that'll just keep trucking along until it gets too cold, till we get a frost and I clear these out. I have 2 favorite sweet potato vines. This one, as far as the dark colors go, is the Sweet Caroline Jet Black from Proven Winners. It does get little lavender blooms on it as well. But they're pretty minuscule and they're kind of hidden by the foliage, but they are cute. But yeah, it just stays really dark purple. This one I have not. You can trim them. A lot of the old varieties of sweet potato vine need trimming, otherwise they take over everything. I kind of let this one vine up here and mingle with the other plants. I kind of liked how it looked. But you can keep it trimmed back. But this is what it does if you don't trim it. I have not had to trim one of these yet in order to keep it controlled. There's also white angelonia. This is not the Proven Winners variety. And I started out with tags in all these pots, and now they're just buried under everything. So I'm not going to go digging for it. This is it's commonly found in garden centers, a different variety of angelonia that's not Proven Winners, but the Proven Winners ones do great as well. In my opinion, the best alyssum there is, this is Snow Princess alyssum. That's also just one plant. These grow big, fast, and just keep blooming all summer long. Also very heat and drought tolerant. I have other Dusty Miller, just sort of your classic, sort of lacy looking ones that have been around forever. Nice and inexpensive too in garden centers. I planted these are actually two in this pot, Bandolista Coconut Lantana. Once they went on clearance. I hadn't grown that variety before. I love lantana. I plant it every year. I've planted it every year for over a decade now. Won't be without it. But this one has done fabulous. It did kind of cover up this one's kind of neat too. There's a little Artemisia down there that was new. Real like lacy fine foliage trailing. I see pieces of it did kind of poke up and trail through the plants here as well. So I have that in this pot. And then in the one around the corner, I also have this coleus, which I've talked about before. Really cool variety. It's called Shiny Shoes. Normally coleus has a real matte, sort of velvety looking leaf, but this one is glossy, and I love that texture on the leaf too. So Shiny Shoes coleus. This one has done really well. I grew it in shade last year, and it stayed kind of small. It got a little choked out by what I had it planted with, but I'm pleased with how big it got in the full sun. I like that it didn't take over, that things can still kind of grow through it and grow around it. So I'll be planting this again for sure. And I didn't have to deadhead. These are the first blooms. Now we're in the second week of September, and these are the first blooms that it's put on. So good variety if you can find it. It's hard for me to find. The only place I've seen it here so far that I've noticed it is at the Friends School plant sale. So if you're local to the Twin Cities, that's where you can find it next year. I have a euphorbia in here. I'm not sure what the variety it is, not one of the Proven Winners ones. I think some more Dusty Miller mixed in, and then Supertunia Latte, which is one of my favorites, trailing down below. All of my petunias. A few weeks ago, we had a weekend with a lot of heavy rain and thunderstorms. So it kind of beat down all the flowers. You know how petunias get kind of wilty and in the rain, and the flowers kind of fall off or whatever. So they had basically lost all of their blooms. And then I had a round of budworms hit as well, which in the past have not affected my petunias. They normally go after geraniums for me, but this year they wanted the petunias. So I went ahead and everything was getting kind of leggy too. So I gave it really hard cut back. So it's taken several weeks, probably about 3 weeks to bounce back. And now I have blooms again. These were all bare in my last garden tour. Thankfully, I planted lots of verbena as well. So that provided the bloom color over here amongst all the green foliage in this section. This section is all about the blooms. So I was glad I had done that. But now we have petunias back. And that was why the latte over here the blooms are a little bit sparse. It's all budded up. Normally it's much more full of bloom than that. It's a really good variety. But I always have good luck with verbena. I have rarely had any insect issues. Yeah, so we've got Supertunia Sparkling Amethyst. This one is called, I think it's Violet Wink, either Blue Wink or Violet Wink. A new to me variety, but it's done really well. That's only one plant. I like to pick up things on clearance that I haven't tried before and just test them out and see how they do. And then I can make notes for the next year, what to look for. I also have a mixed container with a Supertunia Violet Ice, Superbena Violet Ice, and the Superbena Storm Burst. That one I had overwintered. It was down to like one stem with like 5 leaves on it by the time it came up outside from winter, but it bounced back. Neither of those are as prolific bloomers as the Sparkling Amethyst. This one is the most full of blooms I have ever seen. All verbena lulls, as I've said before, it'll go full of blooms, and then it'll lull a little bit where it kind of looks like this, where it has a few, but look at all the buds. Every tip, and maybe it's just because it has a lot of branches, so a lot of bloom tips, but it's all full of buds over here. We have a massive Salvia Rockin' Blue Suede Shoes. And I do see some of this Tiara Blue. It kind of got choked out, but you can see a little Tiara Blue Supertunia poking through. Those are really gorgeous. I need to feature those more next year. Both the Tiara Blue and Tiara Pink did very well for me. I also have some random stuff back here. There's some elephant ears, purple and green in a container. This one's really neat. This is Caprosmia First time I've grown that in a pot. I pick those up on clearance. With the kittens gone, I can freely water things. They like to sleep in these two planters, so it makes it hard to water. But this is another combination I really like, and a Supertunia that does well. This is the Hoopla Vivid Orchid, and then the Superbina Whiteout. Elephant ears, looking enormous. I've had these corms for a number of years, and I swear every year the leaves get bigger and bigger. I mean, this one is like the size of my entire torso. Like, it's huge. This is what they do as they age out. You know, they come out. You can see this one is unrolling. They come all rolled up, and they'll open up and be big, beautiful leaves that nod and bob in the wind. And then they start to brown out as they age. So this one's more aged out, so it's getting to the point where I'll probably cut it pretty soon. And then it just keeps sending out new leaves. So you can see this one's starting to age out a little bit too. I kind of like when it starts to age, the different, like this one's kind of in early stages of turning brown. It kind of has different variegation in it. But I have a whole bunch of caladium over here. This one is Florida Beauty. I've got a white Hippoestes polka dot plant. This trap, let me move this a little out of the way slightly. I'll be glad when we're all done with the trapping and the cats are back and we can just go back to feeding. So I really like this section. I have a few blooms in here, not many. I have this Terenia that managed to crawl through everything. That looks really cool this year. I enjoy that. And a vinca. Otherwise, this area is pretty much all foliage. The begonias that I planted got engulfed in foliage. So this is a favorite little combination here. In this planter, I have a caladium called Spicy Lizard mixed with a licorice vine, variegated licorice vine. I have grown this before, and the solid, like the gold licorice vine, which is kind of that, just that gold color. They burn for me in full sun. So this one has done really well in the shade. The silver licorice vine does great in full sun, no issues, but the gold ones always seem to burn. So I'll just plant those in the shade from now on. But I love that color combination. We also have this guacamole creeping through from the planter next door. That's a Plectranthus. This is the Color Blaze Coleus Velveteen. And underneath that, I'll overwinter this as well. This is a Tradescantia trailing down. And then I do in the center here, I had some begonias, but they've been covered by this other caladium. Over in this container, these super bells have bounced back. I will have to sterilize this container next year because the past 2 years now I've had some thrip issues with this pot. And normally I don't sterilize my pots. They just stay outside, so a lot of times the winter sterilizes them just because it gets so cold. But next year I will bleach it just to make sure nothing is remaining. I have a Calibrachoa called Cappuccino. And then two of my favorite Proven Winners Super Bells. This one is Over Easy, really good performer, and this one is Tropical Sunrise. Two of the most vigorous Super Bells that I've ever grown. I've had them in various planters over the past few years, and they do great. We have an Artemisia trailing down. Actually, I think I have 3 or 4 plants in there. It's got kind of wilty because I watered too many times right in that spot. So I need to clip that out. But you can see Artemisia, it's budding up from the stems. So it will fill in that spot as long as I quit watering it right there. And then I have some Purple Prince Alternanthera that I grew from seed. I don't think I'll grow that from seed anymore. Alternanthera is a little bit fussy to start from seed. The seeds are expensive and I lose a lot of plants, so it's not worth the effort when I can find it for fairly inexpensive in garden centers in the spring. I'm a bit neglectful of watering this planter this year, but this is the Toucan Coral Canna, looking slightly crispy. My little geranium planter over here doing well. I've just got some Dracaena spikes, 3 different geranium, and then some vinca. You can see where I was deadheading down there. And I picked up a few. I have shrubs and perennials galore. Things are starting to go on clearance. So If I remember, hopefully I can put in the description for those who are local all of the clearance that I know about right now, plant sales for perennials, shrubs, etc. Fall, I've found, is the best time to plant those types of things. I have an angeloni here. This is angel face blue. Because they have nice cool weather, they don't have the stress of summer heat. They can go into dormancy, work on their root system over the winter because the roots are active all winter, and then come out of dormancy naturally in the spring and be established. So I'm a big fan of planting in the fall, and they are cheaper. This poor Super Bells is still recovering from, and I think it might have thrips too. I'll have to check that out. Grape punch. This Bacopa finally blooming for the first time this summer. Not a whole lot of blooms, but I see buds. That's the snowstorm white, I think, from Proven Winners. And this is just multiple containers kind of all forming a mass here. The Calibrachoa have been slower to recover from the rainstorms and the budworms. The kittens also enjoy sleeping down here in this pot, so it's kind of barren, and that's why the stems on this vine are bare. But this is the Ruby Moon hyacinth bean vine over here, growing on the trellis. And then I have a string. You can see I have like 6-foot bamboo poles in the, I'm sure I just got them in a big box store or something. I've had those for years. And then I tie them together to form like this little trellis here. It very easily vines up that. And then I tied a string from the top of the trellis to a hook that's in the soffit so that it could climb all the way up. I find with these, they stay green longer if you deadhead or cut the beans once they turn, you know, they're very decorative, but once they turn brown, they start browning out like this. If you deadhead those stems, it will continue putting on more new growth and stay fuller. Normally I would have more stems coming up, but with the kittens sort of living in this planter, that did not happen. But oh well. It was fun having kittens around. And we'll see. I hope they all get adopted out. Salvia here. Not the biggest fan of this one. It's a nice shape, but not the most prolific bloomer. So I don't think I'll grow that one again. I do not know the name of it. Watermelon Mini-Me Coleus, or Mini-Me Watermelon, whatever order you say it in. And then all down here, I have a series of salvia. I grew various different salvia and lantana. Two of my favorite plants. I really wanted to attract the pollinators, the butterflies, the hummingbirds this year, and it has worked. So I stuck to a color scheme and just kind of planted a lot of the same stuff, just maybe different varieties. I'm always a fan of Calibrachoa. I have a couple of them down here. This one did really well. I forget the name of it, but I have the tag saved somewhere. I'll have to look for that again next year. Yeah. And canna, too. I always save my canna tubers. Over on this side in the shade, we have a lot more elephant ears. We have my favorite caladium of this year, which is Gray Ghost. Look how big that leaf is. This is a very large caladium. I love that color. You can pretty much just mix with anything, too. It's I mean, neutral gray and green. So I have sort of a coral and orange color scheme over here. These are huge. This is Dragon Wings Begonia. Red. I don't know, has anybody saved the tubers from those? I can't remember if the Dragon Wings, you can save like the tuber. This is a tuberous begonia that I bought as a tuber, so I will be saving those, this pretty yellow one. The kittens did get in here and cause some destruction. Anything they can climb up, they do, because they're cats. It's their nature. Got another begonia down here that I'll try and save the tuber from. I had gotten that at Menards. This is another cool foliage plant over on this side. This is a Pilea. Unfortunately, this brand does not give the specific name of, you know, I have multiple different types of Pilea, or cast iron plant, it's also called. I think it's cast iron plant. No, maybe not. Something like that. Really tough plants. They do well in sun or shade. This is just one plant, but such a cool, just a different texture of foliage. Different from what you normally see. And I have it mixed in with some caladium. I forget, Cranberry Star, I think is the name of that one. And then a Kimberly Queen Fern that is massive in a huge pot. I have saved, you know, you can save these as house plants, but they drop like 90% of their leaves over the winter, unless maybe if you have a super humid the perfect conditions for it, maybe it'll be happy. But in my house, it's constant vacuuming all these little tiny leaves. So I will not be saving this one. I don't know. I guess I can bring it to work. I would have to depot it though, because it's in a massive pot and I'm not giving away a pot for free, but maybe somebody at work would want the fern and want to pot it themselves. We'll see. Again, it's all what I have time to get to in the fall. These are seed geranium that I grew from seed. Oh, I got a mosquito. Sorry. Oh, biting me right on the arm. Not brocade, not maverick. Bullseye. Bullseye salmon. Love this cool, really neat dark leaf. Another Plectranthus guacamole working in here. If you're gardening on a budget, 4-pack annuals is the way to go. This is one single salvia from a 4-pack. That one is the tall red salvia. I think it might be called lighthouse red, but they're often not labeled. Usually it's just tall red salvia. I used to grow in my apartment. I was on a much tighter budget, and so I grew a lot of 4-pack stuff, and they did awesome. They did really well. So coleus, verbena, salvia, all kinds of stuff from 4-packs. And still, of course, like all of these impatiens. Impatiens get surprisingly large if they have enough water and they're not in too much sun. These stems are really long on these. So I had 2 4-packs this whole area. This is just 8 impatient plants, you know, all the way around. So tips for if you're on a budget. This salvia here is my favorite of the year. This one is called Mirage Red, and it's sort of a cool tone red. It's gotten more blue red in it as the weather has cooled down. But this one has just been constantly blooming. I love the shape of the bloom. It kind of reminds me of like a ball gown or something, a lady in a ball gown. Or a skirt, I don't know. And I know they have other colors in the Mirage series. I've seen like a pink one and a white one, and I don't know what else. So I'll be looking for those for sure. Really enjoy that one. We have a Red Hawk, sweet potato vine from Proven Winners. And then various lantana down here. I've got one there, one here. This container kind of split open. I'm going, why are these plants all like separating? And then one day I'm watering and I see little kitten heads looking at me, a face. One of them was actually chewing off a leaf from one of the plants. So I put a little basket in there so they just love nesting anywhere they can find a spot. Because I don't want them to smash all my plants and make a big hole. So this Angelonia is kind of tipped over because of that. Same thing with the lantana in that pot. My second favorite sweet potato vine is the Proven Winners Medusa. The most well-behaved habit of any of them. I rarely have to trim those either. They stay very compact. They have very strong stems, so they never get floppy. So they have a new dark one that I'm hoping I can get a hold of next year or soon. I have a Mohawk grass here, and then this salvia is the new one from Proven Winners, the red, I forget the name of the line now, and I don't know if maybe it's just getting a little bit shaded out here, or maybe not enough water being in this pot late in the summer, because the roots do fill the containers pretty well at the end of the summer, but the blooms are not as prolific as I would like. I have one planted in the ground that's blooming a little bit more fully and brighter. So I'm not sure if I would do that one again in a container, but maybe in the ground. We have another, this is the red chili lantana, bandolista, I think. Chili red chili. And then I have a Nemesia magenta down here and a Bidens that kind of got shaded out. But I have a bonus petunia. This just seeded itself in this pot and all of a sudden started crawling out. And I have another bonus petunia that somehow seeded itself back here. Now you can't really see the blooms, but it's like a fuchsia colored one. Down it. Okay, oh, you can't see that. But down in there, just take my word for it. Kittens chasing bees obviously leapt in this container, broke a branch and made a hole. Because the bees just love the lantana. So I've got that. I have a lot of this, repeated this Lismachia Waikiki sunset down here as well. That one's really beautiful. And then the cerveza and lime plectranthus smells delicious. Those get really large in one season. I love the leaves because they feel like velvet and they smell like limeade. They're some of my favorites. I do overwinter them, not usually the large plants because they're a little overwhelming, but this one I bought on clearance. It's now root bound. You can see it's kind of browning because its roots are bound. So I'm going to up pot it into this container, and then this I will overwinter indoors under grow lights. I have also overwintered in front of windows and they do just fine. Just don't let them dry out too much. But those do great overwintered. I have a few annuals that I bought on clearance that I may also pot up and try and overwinter just as an experiment to see what I can get away with. So, and they're much cheaper to buy them for $2 now, overwinter them, and then bring them out in the spring. This Kufia ended up being fabulous. I didn't like it when I first, at the beginning of the summer, because it was kind of spindly. It wasn't really filling out. It was standing upright, and then all of a sudden in a windstorm it tipped over and started sprouting from all the sides of the branches, so it became very full. It is called Sweet Talk Red Kufia. So I'm a fan of that. It's one of the bat face ones. It did a lot better than my Proven Winners Kufia, which immediately got powdery mildew and defoliated. So when I got it on clearance, that's planted with a variegated vinca. I have some of this purple not Superbena. It's not Proven Winners. It's a verbena. Kind of lulling now, but that's done well too. And then this, another Calibrachoa that got hit hard, but I see some buds. This is the Watermelon Punch from Proven Winners. I have a toucan orange canna over here, and really sort of tropical bright orange blooms, but more of a warm tone than the toucan coral. I love another Lysmachia Waikiki Sunset that can do full sun or full shade. And Tattoo Black Cherry Vinca here. You can see all my perennials that I have picked up. We've got another Helenium, my tater tot herb that I scored. This is that bowl of echinacea. I bought a dense Leatrice. And then Bachman's has 40% off, 50% off container evergreen. So I picked up another Anna's Magic Ball. I just love this evergreen. It was only 25 bucks, so I couldn't resist. I don't know where I'm going to put it yet, but I had to get it for $25. It's not often that they go 50% off. This is beautiful. I think I will try to bare root overwinter this geranium. This one I've overwintered for several years in a pot. But now it's way too big for me to overwinter that way. So I think I will dig it up and put it in a box and try and bare root. Oh, there's a little toad. There's a garden toad. Oh, he scampered away. I love toads, little chubby guys. This is the Calliope Mega Rose Splash, or Rose Mega Splash. And this caladium was doing well, but now I can see it's a little bit sunburned here with this coleus. Looks like that needs water. And another lantana. This one got kind of choked out, shaded out rather, by this massive, another tall red salvia. That thing is just amazing. And another Medusa sweet potato vine. Monkey flower starting to put on more blooms. I feel like these maybe lull. It's the first time I've grown that, but maybe they lull in the hot weather. Now that it's cool, they look like they're coming back a little bit. I need to cut this Leatrice back too, because you can see it's covered in powdery mildew, so I'll plant it and cut it back at that point. Baby wings begonia, fabulous. I'll be looking for those again. Smaller leaves and smaller blooms, but really prolific blooms all summer. On this one, you can see kind of comparison to the cherry cordial, which is another like bronze leaf red begonia. Much bigger leaves, bigger blooms, but they're a little more spread out and open, versus this one, which is more dense and covered in blooms. This container is mixed with the Superbena Red, one of my favorites. Like a scarlet red, very big blooms, very prolific. I have a Meizu down here as well, one of my favorites. I will overwinter that. I'll dig it up and repot it and stick it under grow lights for the winter. I'll cut it way back too, so it's not trailing so much. This is probably one of the best, aside from the Mercury, one of my other favorite new plants I tried this year. This is the Superbell's Double Redstone. This container is a sweet spot for super bells. I think it just has exactly the right condition, or for calibrachoa in general. I've always had them do well in here. But this one got really, really full. That's just one plant. Got full, stayed full, and it stayed double blooms. A lot of times the doubles revert to singles for me halfway through summer. It's very strange. I don't know if they do that to everybody. Then I've got a few geraniums down here. This is Maverick Scarlet Picotee, which I grow from seed and I'll overwinter. And then a Calliope, I think that's white mega splash maybe. This is an experiment. This was a clearance plant. I see the grasshoppers have been enjoying it as well. Chewing on that, but I forget what it's called now. The tag's in there somewhere. I got that on clearance for $3 because I love that leaf color. I was curious what the structure was, and it said it overwinters well as a house plant, so I thought I'd try it, although it's gotten a little bit bigger than I thought it would. So we'll see. Hopefully I have enough space. Some more perennials that I picked up. This turtlehead Kiloni. I think this one is Hot Lips. All full of blooms. A big, huge Virginia back here with giant leaves. Couldn't resist that. I showed this, another hardy hibiscus that I picked up. Man, everything needs water here. Yikes. I kind of skipped over this. I have a couple of these Albrido coleus. This is just one plant. These get huge, like the Color Blaze coleus just get enormous. Aside from the Mini-Me watermelon and Mini-Me chartreuse, which are bred to stay smaller. And then this canna is my favorite. This is Canna Pretoria. I have saved these rhizomes for over 10 years now as well. I just dig everything up, clear off as much soil as I can, but I don't work it too hard, and then just throw the whole thing in a box in the basement. And come early spring, pull out the box, you know, one of those nice random nice days that you get in the spring early on. And then you can see everything's desiccated. It's easier to clear off the potting soil, cut out the old dried up roots. And then you can see the growth points, the living growth points. The rest of the tuber will desiccate over winter. So I just kind of clean it all up, isolate the growth points, and pot those up. And I have beautiful canna. This one is putting on, it's about to open. It's a very late bloomer. It blooms bright orange. Hummingbirds also love canna blooms, by the way. All pollinators do, plus hummingbirds. So, but this one isn't grown really for the blooms. It's grown primarily for the decorative leaves. Beautiful striped leaves with that sort of red margin on the side. Really gorgeous plant. I love the leaf contrast on this one. And they get very large if they're happy. This one's in a good spot. I like where it is this year. So, and luckily we only had a small spurt of Japanese beetles this year, and that was it. They kind of just disappeared. So Japanese beetles also like cannas, so just be warned. But they didn't, normally this would be full of holes on the older leaves, but they didn't get at it this year because they just disappeared. So I'll take it. A couple geraniums. This one's now starting to bloom. It kind of lulled. It got knocked over in a storm. Brocade? Why do I always forget the name of that one? Brocade Fire? I always feel like it's a band name, but I can't remember. I'll try and overwinter the geraniums. I haven't had budworm issues really on them, but I'll check and make sure. I don't like to overwinter worm eggs. We've got my little fall container here doing well. Super happy. Thank you to those of you who told me about the different varieties of cafe au lait dahlias. I think I had seen something on that years ago, but completely forgot. But I love, they were all labeled with this color bloom, like from the same brand. This color bloom was pictured on the package. But I ended up getting a mix, and they're so gorgeous. I'm so happy I did. I love these like blush rose colored ones especially. Those are really stunning. So happy for that. I do dig these up, these tubers, and attempt to save them with middling success. I have another dahlia planter here. I think this one is one of the dark horse dahlias with some purslane underneath. Got another Maverick geranium with purslane and wire vine. I like mixing little planters in my garden. Oh, that one's bouncing back and really needs water, so I won't really show you that. But the Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow is starting to bounce back from a really hard cutback. And this has been a nice surprise. I had this Kong Red Coleus self-seed in here amongst the seed geraniums. Don't know the varieties on those. This might be my favorite hanging basket that I've done over here. Mainly because of the Lophos and the Supertunia Tiara Pink. You can see like just how full that Tiara Pink and how much it trails and works really well in a hanging basket where you don't necessarily see into the top of it. There's also Verbena Sparkling Rose, and this is the pink Lophos. Bumblebees just love this guy. But it's trailing, that's just one plant trailing down, and then it kind of climbed up. So I like how it's climbed up and is kind of mingling in with the clematis here on my trellis. Really cute. And then this poor little scaevola that just didn't have to have a chance to shine this year. Tropical Rose, I think it's called, Sun Patience. I don't do a lot of Sun Patience. They're very thirsty. So be warned if you do. All impatiens, and especially New Guinea impatiens, are very thirsty plants. They need a lot of water, but Japanese beetles also love those. But this year turned out to be great. And we've got the Goldilocks Rocks Bidens here doing better because they get more sun. But they're kind of semi-double blooms, but very large blooms on those. And another Supertunia Mini Vista Yellow. Got 2 containers of the pink and white, just wax begonias from multi-packs. I showed these containers in my last video too. This elephant ear, various alternanthera ivy, the canna bronze, Canova bronze peach canna, and the little Supertunia. Picasso in purple, I think. And then my container of Super Bells, the pink lemonade and the double smitten pink. This area gets more shade this time of year, so they're not as happy right now. I also need to water. With all the trapping we did last night, I only had time to water the patio and before it got dark. So things out here are a little thirsty. We'll take, oh, what happened to this guy? I'll give it some water, but this was fluffy and happy yesterday, and we've had enough rain over the last week that that should not be wilting like that. Oh boy, you know, just always an adventure in gardening. Oh great, I'm gonna have to cover these. It looks like cats were digging in here. So as you can see, I planted my strawberry bed. I dug up a whole section of strawberries from over there and transplanted them. I have more to give away. You can see how many plants I had. I mean, I still have this whole section. There's all behind the garden beds. It's insane how fast strawberries multiply. I do have some covers that I can use strategically, mainly to keep the cats out, the feral cats. So clearly there are some roaming around, even though we caught many of them. The other day I also moved this poor container out because the cosmos had tipped over onto it again. I got a hardy hibiscus to put in here, so that is what I will be doing soon. You can see kind of how this lemon, it would be more upright if the canna or the cosmos hadn't continually fallen on top of it, but the lemon twist plectranthus grows really fast and gets really large. Plectranthus also lasts forever in arrangements. They root in water, they root in anything very easily. They grow roots from their stems, which means they can literally last forever practically in water. So very easy to grow. Ooh, I need to pick my long hot peppers and make some. I wanted to try stuffed peppers here. But I'll show you, since it's a container garden tour, I will show you the annual containers that I plant back here once my shallots get harvested, because there's not really enough warm summer weather to grow any other vegetables. And also I just want to plant clearance annuals. One thing I'm really impressed with, these are asters. These are annual asters, just in a 4-pack. I have a few of them. Some of them were looking kind of raggedy, so I'm impressed they're even blooming. But there's a couple white ones, a blush pink. Really pretty. I'm going to try those next year. I haven't grown annual asters before. Another 4-pack salvia. This is Victoria Blue Salvia. Oh, unplugged blue. That's what that salvia was, unplugged red. But the unplugged blue salvia I've grown, it is like indistinguishable from the Victoria Blue Salvia. So save your money. You don't have to buy the Proven Winners brand name. Just pick up a 4-pack of Victoria Blue. It is so easy to grow and it just does so well. I also have, these are just mixed 4-pack verbena in various colors. I think I talked about that in my last video. They're like Superbena. They're beautiful colors. They just need more deadheading and they get leggy faster, so they need a little more trimming, a little more maintenance. I have this, what's the name of it? Mandevilla that I may try overwintering as an experiment. Nothing to lose if it dies, compared to leaving it out here where it certainly will die. I have a purple Angelonia. I got some 4-pack stuff, more verbena, Nicotiana. This is a osteospermum putting on buds. These are, they lull out in the heat. They really like cool weather. So I don't really plant those as summer annuals anymore, just because so much of the summer they look like this. They're nice foliage, but they have no blooms. Now it's starting to bud up. I mean, it's a little bit late right now just because I planted it late as a clearance plant. But just be warned, if you plant osteospermum in the heat of summer, they're just going to do nothing. They're going to sit there waiting for it to cool down. We have the Aromance mulberry. These are all clearance, of course, as I said. A Blew My Mind evolvulus. Big fan of that plant. Some more mixed verbena, pink verbena. And then this one, so this is a pentas. This is a Proven Winners. I forget the name now. They call them Sun Sparkler, maybe. This is the purple one. You can kind of see the bloom color here. Pentas does really great in heat and sun. But it also kind of like, it'll do bloom and lull and bloom and lull. So you can see like all these spent blooms where it was all covered in these beautiful purple blooms. And then it kind of lulls, it sends out new bloom stalks, and this does that thing where it, quote, buries its dead, where the new blooms will come above the old blooms. So you don't have to deadhead because they cover the old blooms. And you can see it's all budded up. So now it'll be full of blooms. Then it'll do the same thing. It'll lull a little bit with maybe just a few blooms on it, send up new shoots. That's what I have found it to do anyway, as I have grown it over the years. I really need to get out here and harvest this. Just trapping this cats and the rain we got has really put me behind schedule. Americana dark red. I planted a lot of these this year. I have them in the ground up front. Once they went on clearance, I got a bunch to fill these planters. Really vibrant red color, like neon red. And I like that kind of orangey versus the ones that are more dark red. So love these. I have those in the hanging baskets. I usually don't plant these hanging baskets either until I can harvest my shallots. We got more geraniums here in this container. I'll show you that maybe from the front, but I have zinnias and an angel face pink Angelonia. This is another fun coleus that I tried for the first time. This one is called Witch's Brew. Really beautiful color on that. Nice and large, so I'll be planting it again. I also bloomed late. These are some of the first blooms of the season, so it doesn't need a lot of deadheading, which is always great. And then another just Victoria Blue Salvia mixed in. These poor geraniums, I think, are a little, well, they're just not super happy. They got real stressed before I planted them, and then I think just took a while to recover. So, but more of the Americana dark red geranium. I haven't seen budworm issues on these, so I'm hoping I can overwinter some of these, and I'll try the bare root method just because I don't have space to overwinter things in pots. But then my herb planter, also my favorite herb planter, filled with marigolds. This is just one Victoria Blue Salvia, doing awesome, just from the little plugs that come in. Actually, they were 6-packs when I bought them. But a bunch of rosemary. I like Gerten sage. That's my favorite variety, simply for ornamental value, because the leaves are nice and big and it has that classic sage green color. But I like how huge the leaves are. So, oh gosh, I can just smell that. It just smells like fall. I love sage and rosemary. Rosemary freezes well and sage dries very well. So before we get a freeze, our first freeze, I'll harvest whatever there is and save it for winter. And then an oregano, which maybe a lot of times, depending on the winter we have, oregano is perennial. So I think that's it for the backyard. I don't know if I'll show. I just kind of went over my containers in the front yard. I only have a few up there. but I showed those last week. So I don't think this is getting kind of long. I think I'll not show those this time around. Look at my phlox. It's so pretty. It's a super kapow coral. I really hope that's as mildew resistant as it was billed. And then this is my favorite zinnia, the Sahara double salmon, or something like that. Oh, I forgot to show you this container. All right, moving on back. We can see some Sahara double zinnias that also did well. These were the raspberry ripple variety. Like the colors on those. I like that they're brighter pink when they first open. Oops, I cracked that one. Then they kind of age to lighter pink and then out to kind of a creamy white. And they keep blooming. I do deadhead periodically, but I don't keep up on it all the time, as you can see. Wasn't as big of a fan of the Starlight Rose. These ones over here have a little more color. But most of the summer, they kind of were just white and then would brown out very quickly, and they're a single. So won't be planting the Starlight Rose again, but I do like the double raspberry ripple. Same thing with the ones I planted in the ground. They kind of followed that same pattern. So, but look at all the blooms coming out on the aster. Pretty sure it's woods blue. I did look at a garden center, and I'm pretty sure it is a woods aster and not the dome purple, just because of the foliage. So, but again, that one was unlabeled, so I really have no way of knowing for sure. Oh yeah, here's another one of the pink pentas with the old blooms, and you can see it's all budded up, and the next layer of growth popped up with the new blooms about to open. And we're going into our third rebloom of my peach drift rose. Can't wait. And these ones now are tall enough that I can sniff them without having to, when I can just bend over and reach them with my nose. I don't have to crawl around. So yay, getting some color on the Limelight Prime hydrangea as well, that bright pink. And then this salvia is planted in the ground, but this is another fabulous one that hummingbirds love. Rockin', playing the blues. So that's it. Container garden plus slightly bonus footage here out from the regular garden. So the in-ground plantings. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are all having a great summer and start to the school year. I know I work in primary care, and already kids have been back in school, most kids, for 4 days. And already everybody's sick. So get ready for the back to school colds going around. Hope everybody is steering clear of that. So I don't have kids, so I don't have to worry about it. I don't also don't share spaces at work with children, so that's helpful. Anyway, yeah, but without fail, it's always back to school time. So hope you are healthy and well and enjoying this early part of fall here in September, or late part of summer, depending on where you live. And have a great day, and please subscribe.